there has been a lot of allegations that if you see that letter that came out, the land document, it showed that Wike's 90-year-old father, his cousins, close relatives, so we're talking siblings, cousins, nephews, even his sons. We saw the allegations where Senator Nkigbe, alleged that she gave for an instance that if a property was like 200 million, the price crashed overnight to 2 million, within less than 48 hours to 2 million, and then the children were able to acquire that property. And these are people, these are allegations that are out there in the public, so that we do not think, oh, it's coming from UWA. Now, public office, they said that they have leveraged to grant large multi-billion naira land parcel to individuals that have personal ties with Wike. And they have bypassed standard proceedings, and it's not merit-based. And, the process is just a bit skewed, like I said, what Senator Nkigbe had accused Wike of. Another context we want to put in this conversation, right, is that critics have said that there was no open tender or public advertisement for some of these allocations. So, as I said before, opaque documentation, records like, especially key records, right, like valuation reports, bid evaluation, award letters, they are all reportedly not accessible to applicants or the public, right? No clear challenge process. No formal mechanism for unsuccessful bidders. And again, when those normally when you are unsuccessful in your bidding, you can appeal or request an audit, but none of those things have happened, right? So another context that we're going to put to this conversation, right? Primary oversights, agencies, including the FCDA Internal Audit Ministry and the FCT Vigilance Unit, the National Assembly Committee, anti-corruption bodies like EFCC, ICPC, all of those people were asking simple questions. What roles, have you played in some of all these allegations? Will I call it, he's not a social media activist, he's a public figure. Isaac Fayoshe actually even wrote a letter to the Code of Conduct. I want to read the letter out, right? The Chairman Code of Conduct Bureau. He says the request for release of a copy of the asset declaration, right, by Nyesom Wike. He says he's asking, right, in pursuant to the provision of the Freedom of Information Act, right, amended to formally request for the release of copies of asset declaration form that was submitted by, of course, our current minister who occupies this role, which is in their custody, the asset declaration. He is convinced that the asset declaration form, which was submitted to the provision of the extant law, all these legal terminologies, is in your custody as required under the Act, and is simply is a subject of public disclosure as required under the Act, more specifically Section 4 of the Act. I humbly request that the information be provided within 7 days of the receipt of this application, and I undertake to pay all necessary processing fee upon demand. Accept the assurance of my esteemed consideration and regard for upholding the desired principle of transparency and accountability. Yours faithfully. So now this letter is coming off of the back of the recent interview, or would I call it not so recent interview that Nyesom Wike had, you understand, with the political anchor on Channels Television, Seun Akimboloye, when he was talking about him purchasing a Rolls Royce, and of course with the allegations of the sons owning properties that are running in billions in Abuja. There are just too many allegations out there. And you know what? One thing that is really upsetting me is the fact that with all these things that is going around, our president is just still mum, or is it that they are doing bigger things? I don't know. right? Because again, all these land issues started when, I'm really hoping that our guest is here so that we can even start the conversation, because I know that it can be traced to when there was a lot of revoking of documentation in Abuja. A lot of people were unable to, I think they gave them ultimatum to go and pay certain kinds of amount and all of that. All of these were happening. And now all of a sudden, right, a few months down the line, we're hearing that some of those lands, they were in prime locations, and because maybe they could not meet up to the obligations of, or the, yes, obligations of what, the minister had, mandated, a lot of those land documentation documents were revoked. And now all of a sudden today we're hearing that there's a father somewhere, there's a cousin somewhere, there's a sibling somewhere, there are children somewhere, you understand, getting this land. How fair is this, right? And yet we are not, everybody's just keeping quiet. So the questions that have been raised, right? We are asking all these agencies, your ICPC, EFCC, National Assembly, even everybody, right? That's supposed to be like people that are protecting the laws. Were these agencies notified, or did they even self-initiate any inquiry at all to say, okay, we are seeing all these things flying all over social media. What is going on? Do we have our guest now? Okay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah.
I think you had a bit of issue joining the call, Barrister Evans.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't join through Zoom because it wasn't responding.
Oh, okay, that's fine, that's fine. At least we're here now. Oh, yeah, so tell me, right? We're not talking about Natasha or my director. We're talking Yisom Wike. Your lower third, you need to correct it. So, Wike's land allocation controversy, right?
Yes.
Can you give me a background summary? Because I try to put context to the conversation. I don't know how far you heard, the background context. So context is that due processes were not followed. Context is that a lot of allegations flying up and down. His father, his children, his cousins, his siblings, his political allies, all of them are being, collecting land. And, let's not forget that all of these things started when they started giving certain kinds of ultimatum to landowners in Abuja to come and pay some kind of fees, and they started revoking land documents. And all of a sudden, we're now hearing a few months down the line that these lands, some of them, especially in the prime locations, are now being reassigned or reallocated. There was an allegation that Senator Nkibe came out on Arise. I watched that clip, that went viral, where she was talking about how, the price of a particular property crashed in less than 48 hours, and so that the people could purchase that property. So you just, Barrister Evans, what exactly is going on with these allegations around Yisom Wike and the land, what's it called, drama in Abuja?
Yeah, it seems very sketchy. So we have to be very careful in this analysis because it's still very sketchy. Sketchy in the sense that when you look at the traditional media, they all avoided that story. I don't know why. It's only Sarah reporters that quoted Gazette, okay, that really have that story flying on their main platform, okay, and that is understandable. I mean, the traditional media have not gotten it yet. Perhaps as the day go by, they may come to terms with the true story of what happened. It's still an allegation because no court of law has interrogated the issue or come up with investigation from any investigative authority that have found anybody wanting in all that. But what I know, the issues that are facts are the issues I will discuss. It is the fact that Wike is the minister of the FCT. That's one, sacred fact. It's also the fact that the minister of the FCT is in charge of land administration and management in the FCT based on the Land Use Act, 1978. It is also a fact that it is the minister that look into allocation, C of O, R of O, that has to do with local authorities and all supervision of land in the FCT. So there is no kind of allocation, reallocation, or issues of tenement rates, land use rates, and the rest of that anybody can talk about without mentioning Wike. Okay? Now, not too long ago, an online newspaper made a publication as to the fact that Wike is involved in racketeering. I mean, more like land grabbing land for his family's friends, relatives, the father of a 90-year-old father and all that. And most of these properties are situated in the very prime area of Abuja called Gusape. If you know Abuja very well, Gusape is perhaps one of the most beautiful places you can ever go to in this country, in this whole country, because of the wealth of real estate investment in that location of Abuja. It used to be Maitama before, but by the time I've lost it to Gusape and some other emerging areas. So it's a prime area, and so many persons, everybody in this country want to have a piece of land in Gusape. So it is not surprising that this allegation is coming at this point in time. Now, as to whether the allegations are true or not, like I said, it's still sketchy. I am surprised why the relevant authorities have not gone into proper investigation up until now with everything that is going on. Or if they have been investigating, who is responsible for infractions, land infractions, racketeering and all that, allocations and illegality, who is responsible? The only person's name that I mentioned is Wike, and the young man that was arrested, in that is the ministry that, that oversee the issues of land in that. And it was purportedly reported that it was Wike that arrested him and kept him in detention at his pleasure. That the young man leaked certain documents, which has become the bone of contention. The recent one is that there are a lot of documents that are out there in the public now showing that Wike truly allocated a lot of properties to his friends and cronies, family members, and the rest of that. The veracity of that, has not been confirmed because, like I said, the traditional media, they used to be slow because they are not practicing when in doubt, they leave out, for the benefit of doubt, they are slow in their, the online ones are the ones that are very quick in publication. So from all I've gathered, for me, I think that we need more time to interrogate this issue. If it is true that Wike truly has done all this, then he may be running against a very fundamental provision of the Constitution, where the Constitution clearly says that a civil servant or a public servant must not use his office to enrich himself. Which is when you do that, it becomes a criminal offense. That may be what Wike might be working against, up and against, in this whole thing, because he's a public servant. He's supposed to go by the rules of equity and justice and fairness. Any attempt to use that office to directly or indirectly enrich himself or his family members, his cronies, and all that will amount to a serious offense under the law, which is constitutional. And Wike, as the minister of the FCT, will have to face the music, as it were.
Okay. Barrister Evans, let's quickly run off on this very quick break. We'll just go out then come back. I want us to stick to these facts that you have touched on. I have a few questions for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back. right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing the controversy surrounding Wike's land allocation as raising a lot of questions, right, around transparency, accountability, and ethical use of public office. And I have with me Barrister Evans. He's joined me via a call. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Leave your messages also. For those that are watching live on YouTube, you leave your messages. We'll read your messages. You can also call us. The numbers to call 07025 007749 or 07014242420. Let's hear what you have to say. Barrister Evans. So sticking to what you said, because I like the direction, let's just stick to facts and not go around peddling conversation. One fact that I know is that I saw an interview of the Senator Nkibe, the Senator of the FCT, accusing Wike of this same issue, right? Tweaking or bringing down the cost of a property to be able to, quickly sell properties to his people. That's one fact that is out there in public domain. Secondly, you touched on the agencies. So we're talking the primary oversight agencies would be the FCDA, internal audits, the Ministry of the FCT Vigilance Unit, National Assembly committees, right? The anti-corruption agencies like the EFCC and the ICPC. In the event that, all these documents have been leaked and there was an arrest or there was no arrest or whatever it is, what is supposed to be the ideal process when information like this have gone out and is out there in the open, everybody's seeing it? How do we tell that these people are actually accountable to us Nigerians? What are they supposed to be doing?
Well, what are Nigerians supposed to be doing, right?
No, I'm talking about these bodies, these agencies, the
relevant authorities.
Yes.
The relevant authorities need to swing into action. There are two ways to which they can take on the matter. One is where a petition is submitted to them for the purposes of investigation. And two, they can initiate the process themselves without necessarily having a petition before them. Okay? So those are the two ways for which they can do this. And I do not think that these authorities have really taken hold of this case, as it were. I wouldn't know why, because first, Wike is a minister of the FCT. It does not have immunity under the law. Let's not mistake it. It's not a governor of the FCT. There's nothing like governor of the FCT. It was appointed, not elected. So it is only for states that you have governors and the deputy governors that have immunity under Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. He does not have immunity. If perhaps maybe they are confusing his position for one that have immunity. It borders heavily on integrity of a public officer. Okay, a public officer that is the minister of the FCT with kid gloves. It should not be taken. So why they are not acting, I do not know. Even the press, why they are not